Hello everyone, my name is Samantha and I am with Empower Multimedia. We post content relating to business, academia, and entrepreneurship. Today, we are going to be covering the 5 whys. Just as a reminder, these videos are strictly informational and not advice. Now let's get into the 5 whys. So I'm sure that everybody watching this has been in a situation where you have a problem and you don't know what the cause of it is, or you can't figure out what the problem is off the top of your head. And so this could be anything. It could be like your Wi-Fi isn't working or your car is not starting, and these kind of things happen every single day. So this can also happen in the business world, and it can have a big effect on productivity. And so basically what we're going to talk about is how can we figure out the root cause of the problem, not just what you think the surface cause is, but the root cause. This brings us to the 5 whys. And what the 5 whys is a guided team exercise for identifying the root cause of a problem. The purpose of the exercise is root cause analysis, and this is a lot of times included as part as a risk management plan for repeat problem prevention. And so by brainstorming repeated answers to the same question, the teams involved are forced to problem solve and arrive at several distinct possibilities. Now you're probably wondering how it got its name, the 5 whys. And so it got its name because it generally takes 5 iterations of questioning process for the group to arrive at the root cause of a problem. But it's perfectly correct for the facilitator to ask less or more than 5 whys depending on the group's needs and what the problem is. So as you can see in the chart on the right, we have define the problem, why is it happening, why is that, why is that, why is that, why is that, and then that brings us to the root cause. Now remember, you don't need exactly 5 whys, but that is just the general rule for getting you from the problem to the root cause. So now let's go through the positives of the 5 whys process. So the first one is that the root problem may be completely different than the first why answer, and this process will help us get to the actual root problem. So for example, if my computer wasn't functioning properly, my first initial thought may just be to restart my computer and it'll work then. But then I'm taking unnecessary time to try restarting my computer and maybe that still doesn't work. If I had just used the 5 whys process, then I maybe would have found out that something was wrong in the internal hardware of my computer that wasn't allowing it to function properly. The second point is that it's an easy process. You just ask the question and then you just keep asking why until you get to the final answer. And finally, it pinpoints the area that needs improvement. So you're not just guessing, you know exactly what you need to improve. Now let's take a look at some disadvantages about the 5 whys process. So the first is that you need people with practical experience to think about the whys. If we're going along with the computer example again, let's say you have a group of people in your business trying to figure out why the computers aren't working. You're going to need people who have expertise in how the computers work, because if it's just a bunch of people who don't know that, then they will not be able to arrive at a solution that may be the correct one. Another example is people may think of the answers differently. So you could have differing opinions about what the answers to the whys are, and you're going to need to kind of weed out the wrong answers and figure out which one is the correct one. So going along with the practical experience, each answer to why must be an informed decision, and this will help lead to the success because this ensures that your answers are not just assumed, but they are well thought out and will eventually add to the success of solving the problem. So it's not just guessing, oh, this is probably the answer to this question. It is thinking it through, playing it out in your head and seeing if it could substantially be the problem or the answer to the why. So what are the steps to a successful 5 whys process? The first step, you're going to want to create a team. For this, you need to gather people from different departments so there's expertise from every section to find the right answers, and this calls back to the practical experience we talked about a couple slides ago. The second step, you're going to want to define the problem, and for this you need to be as focused as possible. This ensures that you're finding substantial answers and that you're not just answering random questions that don't really lead to the purpose. Number 3, you're going to want to ask why, and you're going to want to do this 4 more times to each successive answer. And remember, it doesn't have to be exactly 5 whys, but this is just a general rule that leads a lot of people to their solution. Number 4, you're going to want to take action and find the right solution. Just remember, you may need to reevaluate in the future if your solution doesn't seem to be working out. So let's look at a couple examples. Our first example problem is that the last newsletter was not sent out on time about the new software update. So this is when you bring everyone together in the room, sit them down for a 5 whys procedure. You have people from all different parts of the company, and you ask them why. Someone may say, because the update was not complete by the time of the newsletter send out. You ask why again. Maybe there's someone from the developing department that says there was a new developer who did not know how to do his work. You ask why again. The new developer was not trained with the capacity he should have been. You ask why again. The trainer was not told to teach him about software update procedures. Then you ask why one more time, and you come to the conclusion that the company believes in learning by doing, and not by teaching. So when you take this all into consideration, if you just saw the problem and it was the last newsletter was not sent out on time about the new software update, without doing the 5 whys process, you may have just thought there was a problem with the automatic sending out of the newsletter. Whereas with the 5 whys problem, the answer is completely different than the first thing off the top of your head. It is the company believes in learning by doing and not by teaching. So therefore, you need to improve the training process and not at all anything about the sending out of the newsletter. Let's look at a second example. Our problem here is that the employees did not receive their checks on time. So again, you bring everyone into the room and you ask why. Someone says the printing system failed. You ask why again. Someone says the system could not recover from a hardware failure. You ask why again. The system is outdated and does not have automatic recovery. You ask why again. It has been decided that the printer is not high enough priority to update and spend money on. You ask why one more time. The company does not have the enterprise planning methodology it needs to put these things in the forefront. So again, you can see here that without the 5 whys, your answer may have been completely different than what actually happened. For example, the employees did not receive their checks on time. If you just said the printing system failed and stopped there, you wouldn't know that it actually had to do with the enterprise planning methodology and not just the printing system failing. So as you can see from our examples, the 5 whys process is really, really helpful into determining what the actual root cause of the problem is and not just some symptom of the problem. So just remember, you ask your question, you keep asking why until you arrive at that root cause of the problem, and you're golden. This concludes the video. Make sure you check back with Empower Multimedia for all of your business, academia, and entrepreneurship concerns. If you have any questions, comments, or video recommendations, please comment below. Also remember to like and subscribe.